This is a look at the June 2020 Human and Social Biology Paper 2. The first instruction tells you there are 6 questions and you're to answer all questions. It takes approximately 2 hours, so let's jump into it. Question 1 of the paper focuses on section D, diseases and its impact on humans. And we start off with part A, reading as follows. Figure 1 shows a diagram of a diseased artery. We see the plaque that is building up in the artery. Identify the condition shown in figure 1. It is arteriosclerosis, where plaque builds up and narrows the artery. Describe how the condition in figure 1 contributes to hypertension. This works very similar to when you put your hand, your thumb over a hose. The narrower the opening, in this case, the lumen of the artery, it means the pressure increases to allow the same amount of fluid, in this case, blood, to pass. So the pressure builds up and hence it leads to hypertension, which is high blood pressure. Name one potentially fatal cardiovascular event that the condition in figure 1 may lead to. That's a heart attack. A heart attack can be potentially fatal. 2 risk factors other than diet for developing a condition: smoking, drinking, inactivity, depending on your lifestyle. If you have a very sedentary lifestyle where you maybe sit all day, then inactivity plays a significant part in developing this condition. Individuals with heart disease are advised to follow a specific diet, a special diet, to improve their condition and overall health. From the menu below, select the healthiest options. And they give us a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. And you have to just draw a circle around the best option. For breakfast, the best option was oatmeal with fruit and herbal tea. It is definitely better than the frosted flakes and milk and banana. Those frosted flakes are high in sugar, carbohydrates, extremely high in carbohydrates. White bread, if we're talking white bread, it's butter, that is your fats, oils, and lipids, and hot cocoa. So the one that is perfectly the best is the oatmeal with fruit and herbal tea. Likewise, for lunch, the grilled fish, the rice, fresh green salad, string beans, and a glass of water is the best for lunch. For dinner, pizza can't be the best. Peanut butter and jelly on white bread, no, no, no. The best is fish soup with vegetables. Snack-wise, the mango is the best. It's healthy, it's natural, it doesn't deal with any processed sugars or salts. The potato chips is plenty salts. Whether they were fried or dried, still salts. The candy bar, that's plenty processed sugar. So mango is the best option. We continue with diseases. Remember, this topic is diseases, so this is not surprising. And question 1 usually comes with some kind of graph, whether you are asked to draw a graph or to read information from a graph. And they're showing you 2 periods in time, 1900 and 2000, and it's the leading causes of death during these years. So they ask you what percentage of deaths in the year 2000 were likely caused by non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases are diseases which cannot be transmitted. So we are looking for hereditary diseases, deficiency diseases, physiological diseases. Those are the classifications of diseases we will be looking for. So that means we are looking at numbers here. Heart disease, colon cancer, cardiovascular disease, emphysema, COPD, coronary obstructive pulmonary disease. We have accidents here, but that is not a disease. Accidents, maybe the person fall off a roof. Maybe they got into a car accident. Pneumonia and influenza. Diabetes mellitus is also a non-communicable disease. So we are leaving out accidents and pneumonia and influenza because they asked us for non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases. All right. So once you add up the numbers, you get 70%. It would be unwise for you to have just taken away these two numbers from the total. Although they are talking percentages, this nowhere in the question did they tell you that this needs to add up to 100%. So if you thought about taking away 4.1 and 3.7 from 100, that would give you the wrong answer. So you have to do the addition and add them up correctly to get 70%. Outline the most significant differences in the type of diseases that resulted in death in the year 1900 as compared to 2000. And if you simply look at it, you will notice these are infectious diseases: pneumonia, tuberculosis, diarrhea, and gastroenteritis, heart disease, stroke, measles, smallpox. The year 1900, things were really bad medically, right, as compared to 2000. So we have changes, the classification in the leading cause of deaths. 1900 deaths were mostly caused by infectious diseases. All of these, pneumonia, tuberculosis, measles, smallpox, are infectious diseases. In 2000, only 3.7% of diseases were caused by infectious disease, pneumonia and influenza. That's all that were caused by infectious diseases. Suggest two reasons for this difference. Well, medicine improved. It's been 100 years, so medicine has drastically improved. So too has education. More persons have access to education, which is how education improves. Lifestyles have changed. With technology coming on board, our lifestyle changed. Many of the lifestyles where the tasks were laborious in 1900 can now be automated in the year 2000. And beyond, it gets even better. So 15 marks for that question, which was taken from section D of the syllabus. Let's see what question 2 brings for us. And we are jumping into section A, living organisms and the environment. And they ask us for 4 characteristics of living organisms, but there are 7 of them, and you could pick any 4. You may also remember this as Grimner. That's a fun way to remember this: growth, respiration, irritability, movement, nutrition, excretion, and reproduction. If you take the first letter from each one, that spells the word Grimner. And you could always let us know what's the fun way you have to remember this. State 2 organelles found in plant cells which are not. Notice the not is in capital letters. The not is in capital letters, found in animal cells. So cell walls, that is present in plant cells. Chloroplast, also present in plant cells, but not in animal cells. So you just state it, just write the words, and you get your 2 marks. Sanjeev carried out an investigation to confirm that oxygen is generated from photosynthesis. And we have a figure which shows his setup. He followed the procedure below. So he had to count the number of bubbles generated. He removed the test tube in experiment A by placing finger over its mouth, taking it out of the water and turning it over. And a glowing splint was used, and he observed something. Repeat steps 2 and 3 for experiment B. So he did the same thing, take out the test tube, place in his finger, and then he placed a glowing splint. A glowing splint is just a piece of wood that is now about to be lit. All right, so you just partially light it and it gets heat, but it's not enough to make a flame. So the question goes, state which experiment A or B would have generated more bubbles. Now he is testing photosynthesis, and we know that plants also do respiration. So experiment A would have generated more bubbles. And if you are thinking that, oh, respiration is going along the same time photosynthesis is going along, but that has nothing to do with the bubbles being generated, don't lose track of the question. It's bubbles, and the bubbles are generated from photosynthesis, where oxygen is being released. State what Sanjeev would have observed happening to the glowing splints in experiment A and experiment B. Remember, in experiment A, oxygen is being released. So the glowing splint would have glowed brightly, or it would have become lit as it was. Experiment B, the splint would out because it would be overwhelmed by carbon dioxide. We know that for the fire triangle, you need oxygen or air, as it is, for a flame to catch, right? So without photosynthesis, the glowing splint would out. Identify the gas that would have produced the bubbles in experiment B and state the process which would have produced the gas. Carbon dioxide is the gas, because remember, in experiment B, only respiration is taking place. So respiration is automatically also the answer. Explain why Sanjeev can conclude that oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. The gas product of A is the same required to light a fire, and we know that oxygen is required in the fire triangle. State which experiment served as a control and give one reason for your response. B would be the control, as it does not have the manipulating variable. The manipulating variable is the thing that you would change. So the change came in because of the lamp. The lamp acted as the light source. So hence that was the change. This is the manipulating variable. Experiment B does not have that. So experiment B is the control. That would conclude this question from section A, which gave us 15 marks. And we jump in to section B, life processes. And if we're talking about endocrine glands, we are looking at coordination and control. Identify the endocrine glands A and B. A is the pituitary, B is the adrenal glands. This is the pancreas right under the kidneys. They are also showing you those colored, darkly colored dots would be the ovaries. This is the female reproductive system. And they also drew in the male reproductive system, where these are the testes. Right? But they asked for A and B only, so you give the answer for A and B. Complete the following table by inserting the missing hormone or hormone function. Luteinizing hormone was done for us as an example. The hormone FSH, it promotes the growth of follicles and the production of estrogen in the ovaries. Adrenaline, you know adrenaline as in the hormone that is released into your system by the adrenal glands, where you get scared, where you get frightened, where something serious is happening in an emergency situation. A simple way to say this is for flight or fight response. 2 marks, 1 mark for FSH, 1 mark for the hormone function. Outline one difference between the endocrine system and the nervous system. And I've put it into a simple table format. They just ask for one difference. So we've given you 2, and there are others. You could tell us the others in the comments, but we used electricity for the nervous system, and that it is really fast. And for the endocrine system, it works with hormones, and it is slow or slower. Rhonda is a 53-year-old housewife who's experiencing challenges with her weight and is feeling unwell. The doctor suspects that she may have a thyroid problem. The table below shows Rhonda's blood tests, and they are asking you, using the table, suggest the endocrine condition that Rhonda has. And if we read the table, thyroxine, it tells you the level that normal is supposed to be at 4.6 to 12. And thyroid stimulating hormone is supposed to be between 0.5 to 0.6. We see Rhonda hormone level being low. It is under the normal, the hypothyroidism is less than 4.6, so it means she has hypothyroidism. Hypo means low, hyper means high. And then they go on to ask you to identify how you got your diagnosis, what's the data you use, where did you get this data? And we see it right here. Her level is 1.8 micrograms per deciliter for thyroxine. So we just quote that we took the answer from this part of the table. Suggests 3 symptoms that Rhonda may experience as a result of the condition. Weight problems, which they did tell you she's having challenges with her weight. So she has weight problems. Fatigue. We don't know how long Rhonda has had this condition. We don't know if she's actually the correct height she is, because it will give problem with growth. She may be having an irregular menstrual cycle. Although she's 53, we don't know if she is in menopause, but 53 doesn't necessarily mean you're in menopause. So the fact is that her menstrual cycle can be irregular. And there are a whole host of other symptoms or signs that could indicate that she has hypothyroidism. You could have chosen others, but these are the ones that we chose. State whether Rhonda's condition is caused by malfunctioning pituitary gland. Give one reason for your answer. And we are telling you it is not caused by the pituitary gland, and the reason is her TSH, the stimulating hormone, is within normal. Remember, her level is 0.5, and the normal is between 0.5 and 0.6. So 0.55 is exactly in between there. And this hormone is secreted by the pituitary gland. The doctor has prescribed a hormonal replacement drug as a replacement. However, she's unable to lose any more weight. Suggest whether the doctor should increase her dosage, and state one reason for your answer. Now, this is kind of subjective, but it will be based on your supporting answer. So we went with no, because she has lost her maximum amount of weight on this drug. It says she's unable, not that she was not willing or some other word could have been used, but it says she's unable. So it means the medical efficiency for this drug, the efficacy of this drug has reached its maximum. All right, so she will not lose any more weight while she is on this drug, even if they increase it. All right, and the point was to help fix her weight problems. 15 marks for this question, and 15 marks for the other questions to follow as well, because 15 marks are the words of each question, for a total of 96 questions, 15 marks each. The paper is a total of 90. So let's jump into this question 4 in section C, heredity and variation. Identify one cell in the body in which mitosis takes place and one cell in which mitosis does not take place. So mitosis takes place in a whole lot of cells. We choose the skin cell. That was just a simple one. It was an obvious one. Growth and repair, skin cell. Yes, so easy. Sometimes it's best to go with the most obvious answer. Gametes, non-mitosis. And non-mitosis means meiosis. Although we wrote it as non-mitosis, we could have written meiosis. Figure 5 shows the process of meiosis. Yes, we have the different stages, A, B, and C, and they ask us to match each label state. And the drawing is where the real description came. If they use the words the interphase, the anaphase, the telophase, the prophase, those would have been helpful as well, but they use drawings to capture these same phases. So haploid condition, haploid means half. So we started with a cell, so this is the whole cell. We see that this end up multiplying by 2, each one multiplied by 2, so we know that is duplication. And then we see at the end, this C ended up with half. They started with 4 and ended up with 2. and the duplication went up to 8. So by that simplicity seen in the drawing and in the maths, haploid as a word means half. This cell contains half the genetic information. So half the genetic information, and you know this process is meiosis, and meiosis produces 4 daughter cells having half the genetic complement. So the half is C. Diploid is the full complement, which is A, and the DNA duplication is B. State one factor that could account for the variation in daughter cells at the end of meiosis, and we put the 2 of them that you could have chosen from: crossing over or random assortment. Crossing over or random assortment would get you a 1 mark. You cannot get extra marks in the paper. It's for 1 mark, so no matter if you wrote 2, you will still only receive 1 mark. Figure 6 and 7 illustrates the straight thumb and a hitchhiker's thumb. Hitchhiker thumb is where it bends back. The thumb part, the upper part of the thumb is able to bend back more than it being straight. The allele for hitchhiker thumb is a recessive allele, and they are using the letter H to denote it, so it's a common H. The allele for a straight thumb is a dominant one, so it will be a capital H. Barry and his father both have hitchhiker's thumb, so straight away that tells us that Barry and his father are homozygous recessive, because recessive alleles only show up when no dominant allele is present. So we could fill that in right away. Barry is homozygous recessive. His father is also homozygous recessive. They're asking, oh, what about his mother? And his mother would be heterozygous. Remember that he would get 1, Barry being the child, the offspring, would get 1 from his mother, 1 from his father. So we know that 1 of Barry's alleles is from his mother. Hence, Barry's mother is heterozygous. Barry's mother is now pregnant. Complete the Punnett square below and determine the likelihood that an unborn child will have hitchhiker's thumb. So we put Barry's father on top along with his gametes, and Barry's mother on the side along with her gametes, and this was what worked out. We ended up with 2 heterozygous and 2 homozygous recessive. And the hitchhiker thumb, they already told us that it's homozygous recessive to have hitchhiker's thumb, and that is 2 out of 4, which is 50%. So the probability is 50% that the offspring will have hitchhiker's thumb. The question continues by giving us an illustration of persons with hitchhiker's thumb which could bend, and it shows the angle at which their thumb could bend, and it goes from 1 degree to about 7 degrees, or 7.5 to be specific. Identify the type of variation that characterizes the data, and if we are looking at this, although they use bars, this is a curve. This is a curve. So one reason for the answer is that this is continuous variation, and there are no discrete categories. There is no yes or no. Persons have a varying, and notice the middle of the curve has the most amount. The modal frequency is found in the middle of the curve, which means this is a continuous distribution. All right, so it is continuous variation. Based on the type of variation identified, state whether genetics or the environment or both determines the phenotype of hitchhiker's thumb. And a thumb, most persons have a thumb. You have 1 on each hand. It's genetics. Your genetics will lead to the variation that they are identifying here. It's genetics. Eating more food or having a bigger room wouldn't change the degree at which your thumb bends back, unless your thumb break or something, but otherwise it is just genetics. 1 mark to conclude our 15 marks. And as we move on to question 5, we realize again we have hit the life processes in section B. And this time they're talking about excretion and homeostasis, words actually used in the question. Excretion allows for the removal of unmetabolic waste from the body. That's a definition they have started with. Define the term homeostasis, and it's maintaining the internal environment, not allowing outside changes to affect what is happening inside. All right, so a simple definition is maintaining or keeping constant the internal environment. 2 major excretory organs in the body. We chose kidney and lungs. Some persons may have wanted to choose the liver. That notice that major is highlighted. It is in bold. All right, so they're saying major. That's why we chose kidneys and lungs. Identify 2 excretory products produced by the body. The kidney produces urine, and we use sweat from the skin. All right, remember the skin is also an excretory organ, likewise the liver. In this case, the answers did not have to relate to the previous question. So we chose to change it up a little bit and choose sweat instead of using bile or bile salts. We didn't use exhaled air, which could have been associated with the lungs, but still you would have gotten them correct. Reggie is always thirsty. During a visit to the doctor, he learns that he has high levels of sugar in his urine. Identify the disease he's suffering with. That's the first part of the question. That's diabetes, sugar in your urine. And explain how the disease contributes to his excessive thirst. He has high or uncontrolled levels of glucose in his blood, which isn't being removed because insulin isn't doing its job. All right, or maybe his pancreas isn't working as good as it should be to produce the insulin. So with this high amount of sugar, his body is under strain and it produces a desire to drink water. So thirst. Remember, his body is also trying to get rid of some of the sugar by urinating it out. So that means water and the kidneys need to come into play. You have 5 marks for this question, and you do have a bit of lines to explain all of this in even more detail than our concise answer. Explain how Reggie's body detects and responds to his need for water. They didn't tell us which direction the water was. They said it was a need for water. So his hypothalamus detects it. We did both directions. His hypothalamus detects his water level. So where he has too little water, it means the pituitary releases more ADH. The kidneys reabsorb more water from his filtrate, the urine, that would be his urine, and urine is concentrated. In the cases where he has drank too much water, remember it just says his need for water. That may suggest that he needs to take in more water, or it may suggest that he has drank more water. So we just did both. You didn't have to do both in the exam. We just did both for explanation. So if he drinks too much water, it means less ADH will be secreted, and his kidneys, the loop of Henle, will reabsorb less water, and he will produce dilute urine. Remember, dilute urine means he will produce more urine. It will just be less concentrated. So if we were thinking color-wise, it will be more tending towards colorless. It should be clear and colorless, as opposed to concentrated urine, which you see more bright yellow and should still be see-through. And 15 marks. That 15 marks went fast. So on to question 6, and the last section that hasn't been tested as yet, which is now tested in this question, section E, the impact of health practices on the environment. And they start off with asking us to define the term pollutant, the substance or the chemical that you add to the environment which causes harm to it. And they ask you for 2 examples of air pollutants. That air is important. So you can't use solid waste. It will not end up in the air. So 2 examples other than carbon dioxide, we chose carbon monoxide and methane. Let us know in the comments the other answers you would have chosen. There are a whole host of answers for this question. Tell us which ones you would have found to be easy. Identify 2 sources of air pollutants. Vehicles, we see them all the time in our day-to-day activities. Factories and industries, those stacks projecting into the air that release a whole lot of smoke. Factories and industries. 2 marks for this question. Figure 9 depicts the percentage of carbon dioxide produced by yearly transportation activities of residents in a town. Vacation travel takes up nearly 50%. We have hometown traveling and daily commute at 19 and 32% respectively. A question goes on to say that most residents go on vacation once a year but commute to work or school approximately 5 days a week. Explain why vacation traveling produces significantly more carbon dioxide than the daily commute, and suggests 2 ways in which the amount of carbon dioxide produced from the daily commute may be reduced. And it's a very obvious answer that we chose to start off with. Vacation travel, the vehicles are larger. You can't compare an Airbus or a 747 or a cruise ship to your car that you drive. All right? So a lot more pollution happens because of vacation travel, and it's showing up here by 49%. The daily commute is done with motorbikes, trucks, cars. It's shorter distances. Your 20, 30 kilometers to work is nothing compared to traveling to a different country or traveling around the globe. So the next part asks us for ways in which the amount of carbon dioxide from daily commute may be reduced. Simply carpooling, using public transport. Everyone doesn't have to drive their own private vehicle. And if you're able to walk. Find jobs closer to your home so that you don't need 3 and 4 different vehicles in terms of taxis to get you there. Use of cleaner fuels, CNG, is present in the Caribbean, and we know what electric vehicles are. 5 marks for this question, or this part of the question. Many Caribbean countries have banned single-use plastic items such as straws and plastic bags. Outline 2 reasons why this is a good decision for marine ecosystems. Marine ecosystem means salt water. They're not talking about fresh water. Marine means salt water and the wider community. And we know that Caribbean islands have plenty saltwater systems, and they have ecosystems from coral reefs to beaches, and many of them have plastic in there, where turtles are dying because they mistake the plastic bags as jellyfish. So reducing this or banning single-use plastic means less death of marine life. And also, the plastic doesn't end up in landfill. All right, so landfills have a longer lifespan in terms of filling up, and the breakdown of these is reduced. 4 marks to this question to complete this paper. And that brings an end to the Human and Social Biology Paper 2 for June 2020. You can subscribe to the channel to encourage us to do other papers and support the work that we're doing.